Dad. Mom was holding hands with a man. My daughter Emily was trembling as she said those words. Then she leaned closer and whispered something that made my heart stop. Dad. It was the same man Mom said died 10 years ago. At that moment, I thought there had to be some mistake. But what I discovered after that shattered everything I believed about my wife, my marriage, and these secrets she'd been hiding every Saturday for the past year. But before we start today's story, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. My name is Daniel Harper, and I'm 34 years old. Until a few months ago, I thought I knew everything about my wife. I thought I knew her fears. I thought I knew her past. And I thought I knew the painful memories she carried with her. I was wrong. My wife, Sarah Harper, and I had been married for 13 years. We had a 12-year-old daughter named Emily. Life wasn't perfect, but it was good. At least that's what I believed. The first strange thing started about a year earlier. Every Saturday morning, Sarah left the house around 9 o'clock, no matter what was happening. Birthdays, family gatherings, bad weather. Nothing stopped her. She always told me the same thing. I'm going to my support group. According to Sarah, it was a private group for people dealing with grief and loss. I respected that. Everyone heals differently, and Sarah experienced loss before I met her. There was one name she almost never talked about. Michael Reynolds. The first time she mentioned him was years ago. She told me he had died in a terrible car accident before we met. Whenever his name came up, her eyes filled with sadness, so I never asked many questions. Some wounds deserve privacy. At least that's what I thought. For years, everything seemed normal. Then little things started bothering me. One Saturday, Emily accidentally broke her wrist while riding her bike. I called Sarah over and over. No answer. The hospital kept asking where her mother was. Still no answer. Nearly 3 hours later, Sarah finally called back. She sounded nervous, almost panicked. When I asked why she hadn't answered, she immediately said, "Phones aren't allowed during the meetings." At the time, I accepted the explanation. But something felt off. Another month passed. One morning I offered to drive her. The reaction surprised me. No. The answer came so quickly that I blinked. Sarah forced a smile. Thanks, but everyone drives themselves. The conversation ended there, but the feeling stayed with me. A few weeks later, I made another suggestion. What if I come with you sometime? I wasn't trying to invade her privacy. I was genuinely curious. The moment the words left my mouth, her expression changed. Her face went pale. Daniel, please don't ask me that again. The seriousness in her voice shocked me. I apologized immediately. But that night I couldn't stop thinking about it. Why was she so afraid of me seeing this group? The next few months were strange. Sarah became more protective of her phone. She started stepping outside whenever she received calls. Sometimes I would walk into a room and she'd quickly lock her screen. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was imagining things. But the doubts slowly grew. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a Saturday afternoon. Sarah had left for her usual meeting. Emily was sitting across from me at the kitchen table doing homework. Out of nowhere, she looked up. Dad? Yeah? Have you ever actually seen Mom's support group? I laughed. No. She frowned. That's weird. What is? She's been going there for a year, but I've never heard her talk about anyone from it. I looked at her. Kids notice things adults miss. But I didn't think much of it. At least not then. The following Saturday, Sarah left as usual. About 20 minutes later, Emily came downstairs wearing her bike helmet. Going somewhere? I asked. She smiled. Just riding around. Be careful. I will. Then she left. I had no idea what she was really planning. Nearly 3 hours later, the front door burst open. Emily ran inside. The moment I saw her face, I stood up. She looked terrified. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying. Emily? She looked over her shoulder toward the door, then she hurried toward me. Dad. Her voice was shaking. What's wrong? She grabbed my arm. Dad? I followed Mom. My stomach dropped. You what? I'm sorry? Emily, what happened? She swallowed hard. I followed her all the way across town. Every nerve in my body suddenly felt awake. Where did she go? It wasn't a support group. The room became silent. What do you mean? Emily looked like she was struggling to say the words. Mom's met someone. I felt my chest tighten. A woman? A friend? She slowly shook her head. A man. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she continued. They hugged. I stared at her. They were holding hands. My heart started pounding. There had to be an explanation. There had to be. Then Emily said something that made the blood drain from my face. I recognized him. What? I've seen him before. Where? She hesitated. In Mom's old photo albums. A cold chill ran through me. The answer hit me before she even said it. No. Emily's eyes filled with tears. It was him, Dad. I could barely breathe. The man Mom always talks about. No, the man she said died. I sat down heavily in the nearest chair. My mind was spinning. This wasn't possible. Michael Reynolds was dead. Sarah had said so herself, for years. Yet somehow my daughter was telling me she'd just seen him alive. and holding my wife's hand. "Are you sure?" I finally asked. Emily nodded immediately. "I'm sure. Maybe it was someone who looked like him." It wasn't. Her voice was firm. There were old pictures in Mom's closet. I checked them before I came home. A knot formed in my stomach. Then Emily said something even worse. They didn't look surprised to see each other. I looked at her. "What do you mean?" She wiped away a tear. They looked happy. The room suddenly felt smaller, harder to breathe in. They looked like people who loved each other. That sentence hit harder than anything else. Not because of Michael. Not because of the secret, but because of what it implied. My wife wasn't accidentally running into someone. According to Emily, she had gone there to meet him. That evening, Sarah came home carrying coffee and smiling, acting completely normal. She kissed my cheek, asked Emily about school, started making dinner. Meanwhile, all I could do was watch her. Every smile, every word, every movement. Was she lying to us? Had she been lying for years, or was something even stranger happening? At dinner, Emily barely spoke. Sarah noticed immediately. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" Emily glanced at me, then back at her mother. "Yeah." The tension around the table was unbearable, but neither of us said anything. Not yet. That night, Sarah fell asleep quickly. I lay awake staring at the ceiling. Around midnight, I quietly got out of bed. I walked into my home office, opened my laptop, and searched for one name: Michael Reynolds. Within minutes, I found old newspaper articles about the accident. My hands shook as I read them. Then I found something that stopped me cold. According to the reports, the crash had been so severe that investigators were never able to officially identify one of the victims. The body believed to be Michael's had never been conclusively confirmed. I read the sentence 3 times, then 4, then 5. My heart began racing, because suddenly one terrifying possibility entered my mind. What if Michael never died? What if Sarah knew that? And what if every Saturday for the past year she had been secretly meeting him? I looked back toward the bedroom where my wife was sleeping. The woman I thought I knew. The woman I trusted with everything. And for the first time in 13 years, I wondered if I was living with a complete stranger. The next morning, I made a decision. I was going to follow Sarah myself. No more guessing. No more excuses. I needed the truth. But when I followed her the following Saturday, I discovered something far worse than an affair. And when I finally saw who Michael Reynolds really was, I understood why Sarah had lied to everyone. The entire week felt endless. Every time I looked at Sarah, I saw a question instead of an answer. Who was she really meeting? Why had she lied for so many years? And if Michael Reynolds was alive, what else had she been hiding? I acted normal. At least I tried to. I went to work. I ate dinner with my family. I laughed when I was supposed to laugh, but inside I was falling apart. Saturday finally arrived. At exactly 8:55 in the morning, Sarah grabbed her handbag and headed for the door. "I'm leaving," she said. I forced a smile. "Have a good meeting." She kissed my cheek. Then she walked out. The moment her car disappeared down the street, I grabbed my keys. 5 minutes later, I was following her from a safe distance. My hands were sweating against the steering wheel. Part of me hoped Emily had been mistaken. Part of me prayed I would discover some innocent explanation. Instead, things became even stranger. Sarah drove across town, then beyond the city limits. Finally, she turned onto a quiet country road surrounded by trees. About 10 minutes later, she pulled into a small property hidden from the main road. I parked far enough away that she wouldn't notice me. Then I watched. A man stepped out of a small cabin. Even from a distance, I knew immediately. It was him, Michael Reynolds, alive. My chest tightened. For years, I had believed he was dead. For years, Sarah had told the same story. Yet there he was, breathing, walking, smiling, and then Sarah ran toward him. They hugged. Not like old friends, not like strangers, like people who cared deeply about each other. My stomach dropped. I felt sick. But instead of leaving, I moved closer. I needed answers. The cabin had a slightly open window. I quietly approached and listened. What I heard changed everything. "I don't know how much longer I can keep lying to them," Sarah said. Michael sighed. "I never wanted this. You promised we'd tell them eventually." "I know. Tell us what?" My heart pounded. I moved closer. Then Sarah spoke again. "Daniel deserves the truth." For a moment, everything went silent. Michael lowered his head. Then he said something that made my world stop. "He's going to hate me when he finds out." I couldn't take it anymore. I stepped around the corner and shouted, "Find out what?" Both of them jumped. Sarah's face turned completely white. Michael looked equally shocked. For several seconds, nobody moved. "Daniel," Sarah whispered. "No." My voice cracked. "No more lies." I pointed at Michael. "You told me he was dead." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Please let me explain." "Explain what?" "That you've been meeting him behind my back for a year." "It's not what you think." I laughed bitterly. "That's exactly what everyone says." Michael stepped forward. "Daniel, listen. Don't." I pointed at him. "You don't get to talk." Sis started crying. And then something happened that I never expected. Michael looked directly at me and said, "I'm your brother." Everything went silent. I honestly thought I'd misheard him. "What? I'm your brother?" I stared at him, then at Sarah, then back at him. The statement made no sense. None. "My parents had one child," I said. Michael slowly shook his head. "No." I could barely breathe. "What are you talking about?" Sarah wiped tears from her eyes. "Daniel, please sit down." I didn't want to, but something in her voice made me listen. We went inside the cabin. Then Sarah revealed a secret that had been buried for decades. Before I was born, my father had another relationship. A secret relationship. Michael was the child from that relationship. My father supported him financially for years but kept him hidden from the rest of the family. Nobody knew, not even me. When my father died, the secret died with him, or so everyone thought. Years later, Sarah accidentally discovered old letters while helping my mother clean out her attic. The letters revealed everything. At first, she ignored them. Then curiosity got the better of her. She tracked Michael down. By then, he was living under a different name. The reason nobody could confirm his death in the accident was simple. He had never been in the car. The real Michael had disappeared years earlier after receiving threats from dangerous people connected to a failed business deal. He changed identities and cut contact with almost everyone, including his own family. Sarah spent months talking to him, learning the truth, learning about my father, learning about the brother I never knew existed. I sat there stunned, trying to process everything. Then another question hit me. If that's true, why keep it secret? Sarah looked down. Because I made a mistake. I waited. When I first found him, he begged me not to tell anyone. Why? He was afraid. Michael nodded. He spent years looking over my shoulder. Sarah continued. I agreed to keep the secret temporarily. Her voice broke. But temporary turned into months, then years. I stared at both of them. You lied to me. Tears rolled down her face. I know. You looked me in the eye and lied. I know. For the first time in our marriage, I saw genuine shame in her expression. Not because she had been caught. Because she knew how badly she'd hurt me. The next few weeks were difficult. Very difficult. Trust doesn't magically return. Not after something like that. There were arguments, long conversations, sleepless nights. More than once, I questioned everything. But eventually, I realized something important. Sarah hadn't been having an affair. She hadn't stopped loving me. The secret wasn't romantic. It was fear, a terrible decision made years earlier that kept growing larger because she didn't know how to stop it. One evening, about a month later, Emily sat beside me on the porch. Are you and Mom going to be okay? I looked at my daughter, then at Sarah standing in the yard talking to Michael, my brother, a word that still felt strange. I think so, Emily smiled. Good. Why? 'Cause Mom cries every night when she thinks nobody can hear her. That hit me hard. The truth was, we had all suffered because of one secret. Not just me. Not just Sarah. Everyone. A few months later, Michael officially became part of our lives. Slowly, carefully. Family dinners started happening. Emily adored him. And for the first time in my life, I had a brother. The strangest part? The man I once believed was destroying my family ended up becoming part of it. That doesn't mean everything was perfect. Some scars remained. Trust takes time to rebuild. But Sarah worked every day to earn mine back. And eventually she did. One night, nearly a year after everything happened, I asked her a question. If you could go back and change one thing, what would it be? She didn't hesitate. I would have told you the truth the first day. Then she squeezed my hand. No secret is worth risking the people you love. I never forgot those words. Because this entire experience taught me something important. The truth may create pain for a moment, but lies create pain that lasts for years. Sometimes people don't lose relationships because of the truth. They lose them because they were too afraid to tell it. And if there's one lesson I hope you take from my story, it's this. The people who truly love you deserve honesty, even when honesty is difficult. A painful truth can be healed together. A hidden lie only grows bigger in the dark until it hurts everyone around it. And sometimes, the secret you're most afraid to reveal is the very thing that can finally set everyone free.